We interrupt this program to bring you an important Wayfair message. Wayfair's got style tips for every home. This is Nicole Byer, helping you make those rooms flyer. Today's style tip: when it comes to making a statement, treat bold patterns like neutrals. Go wild! Like an untamed animal print area rug under a rustic farmhouse table from Wayfair.com. Ooh, fierce! This has been your Wayfair style tip to keep those interiors superior.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. With Indeed sponsored jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for your relevant candidates, so you can reach the people you want faster. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applications than non-sponsored jobs. Don't wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/kidsandfamily. Just go to Indeed.com/kidsandfamily right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring? Indeed is all you need.
Are you ready to learn the 3 secrets to launching a successful podcast? Hi, I'm Bill, a recent client of the Podcast Mogul. If you've been thinking about starting a podcast but aren't sure where to begin, he's got you covered. He is hosting a free webinar where he will share the 3 secrets that can help you launch, grow, and monetize your podcast without any fancy equipment or technical headaches. Click the link in the show notes to save your spot now and let him help get your podcast off the ground.
Yeah, I've thought about that, and some people think that's kind of what Spotify is trying-ish to do, right? But at the same time, I don't want that. I like.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Season 3 of Invest in Yourself, the Digital Entrepreneur Podcast. I'm, of course, Phil Better, and this season is presented to you by Unicorn Incubator. Unicorn is the largest rural incubator accelerator of its kind in the world, located in southwestern France. Its mission is to give entrepreneurs and their families their lives back while helping them build game-changing technology startups. Startups in the company are provided with a complete ecosystem for success, with direct access to proven funding sources, top-notch legal and accounting representation, access to the world's most generous business incentives, and most importantly, a dedicated sales and marketing accelerator that will put a startup's product or service on the fast track to success. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Invest in Yourself, the Digital Entrepreneur Podcast. I am, of course, your host with the most, Phil Better. Today, we have investing in Alex Williamns, the content creation podcaster. This is such a great conversation. I'm having another one with a great podcaster. He has done a lot. Like, Alex has launched podcasts for educational institutions, his university that he was with, and multiple other ones, and for their professors and that. So it's a really great conversation looking how he comes about business in the podcasting world and where I was in growing my company. So it was a great conversation. And if you're interested in taking your content creation to the next level, you should listen to Alex. He gives us some great advice and helps you share your message with the world through stories and content. He shares some of his tips about podcasting, his real love, like me. So you can see us fanboying over the podcasting, I can tell you that. He has a YouTube, Instagram, all those links are in the show notes. But without further ado, let's listen into this conversation. I should really put that in the questionnaire when people sign up, but I keep forgetting. So yeah,
this will be recorded.
Yeah. Are you okay with this being recorded? Yes. Okay.
Yes.
All right, let's go. It's a simple conversation, just talking about your journey. There's no really intro because I'm going to do the intro later.
Yeah.
And then the outro as well. So, Alex, why not give us just a quick 30 seconds? Tell us who you are and what do you do?
I am Alex Williamns. I feel like I always start off by telling people where I'm from, which is Calgary, Canada, because I love it so much. It's such a beautiful place. But what I do is content creation, particularly podcasting, with a little bit of video production and and a tiny bit of photography in there as well. But really, it comes down to podcasting. Telling those stories through the audio medium is just, I don't know, there's something satisfying about it. I'm sure you can appreciate that as a podcaster yourself. There's just something cool about sitting down and having conversation over mics, right? Like, and so that's really what I'm all about, is just talking to people, having conversations, asking interesting questions, and learning along the way.
Oh yeah, no, that is the pretty much the main reason I started this podcast. I had another podcast, did well, but burnt me out because of COVID. But this one, I started at the end of 2020, and I've loved it. It's the best because you get to learn from people. You get to take their knowledge, and you get to share their knowledge as well. You know, you're not hoarding it for yourself. You're letting everybody can listen to it whenever they want. So I fully feel you with that.
And on top of that, people have more interest in talking to you if you have a mic. If you had messaged me on Facebook and just said, "Hey, Alex, I'm a random guy. My name's Phil. I'm just interested in hearing about what people do. Can we have a half-hour call?" I'd say,
sorry, I'm a little busy.
Yeah, like I have other things going on. Yeah. But instead you're, "Hey, do you want to be on a podcast for half an hour?" And suddenly everybody's ears perk up.
Oh yeah, because it's like, I get to talk about myself.
Oh,
really?
And you're gonna put it on the internet, like other people can hear it. Oh, there's like, even if it's just like 10 people listen to it, even if one person listens to it, right? Even if your mom listens to it, I'll be like,
I wish my mom listened to this.
Dude, you and me both. Your mom is a well sought after fan.
Yeah, the mothers and fathers are the sought out of fans out of all podcasters. It's like, please love me, mother. Listen to my podcast. Yeah.
Yes.
But I love that you're from Calgary. I'm from Montreal, so
cool.
Canadian connection. I have family out in Calgary too. I was supposed to go last year, but COVID.
Of course, yeah, ruins everything, man. I've never been out east. That is so high on my list. Maybe this year. Maybe.
I've been to Calgary twice.
Okay.
Once in my mother's belly.
Does that count?
Yeah, technically, depending on which side of the pro-life choice you fall on there.
Some of my cells were there.
Yeah, a portion of my being was there. But also I was going to Nunavut, so we landed in Calgary before we hit up to Yellowknife.
No way.
Yeah, so I was in the Calgary airport. You guys have a lovely airport. That's about it.
We do have a very nice airport.
But yeah, no, I've always wanted to go out west because like my family's there. The Rockies are gorgeous. You have Lake Louise, and there's our California is Vancouver for people who don't know.
And it's way nicer than California.
Yeah, there's a buddy of mine. He's out there right now filming a whole bunch of YouTube videos, and he's visiting like Tofino, Calgary Island. There's a small town, I can't pronounce it, right beside Tofino.
Ucluelet.
That's the word.
Yeah. Beautiful. Yeah, I stayed there 2 years ago. I think it was 2 years ago now. Beautiful.
Oh yeah, no,
beautiful place.
Just the videos that he's posting up, and I'm like, I hate you. I'm stuck here in the cold. You're on a beach. Right. That's the craziest thing. Like out west, there's beaches. Like,
well, I mean, out west, as in on Vancouver.
Yeah, Vancouver Island has.
I'm out west, but there's no beach anywhere here. We do have one lake in the city where people go for like beach, and it's disgusting. There was a dead horse in it once as a child, and it's just it's
fun times.
We don't have beaches in Calgary, but Vancouver and on Vancouver Island, man, most beautiful place on the planet, like gorgeous.
Yeah, the mixture of the nature and the civilization all together and how it weaves, it's gorgeous. But this isn't a podcast about, the beauty of Vancouver or the beauty of Canada, which is a very beautiful place. It's about your story as an entrepreneur. And you gave us, when you signed up, you told me that you started for sandwiches.
Yeah, that was my first payment. I feel like I don't know. So many people have probably heard this story depending on the podcast they listen to now. But it's such an interesting story, right? Like,
It is. Like, who gets paid in sandwiches nowadays, you know?
hey, you know what? It's a pretty good gig.
Uh-huh.
Like I was 18 and I went out to my friend's restaurant, and he had seen the videos. And when I say friend, he's closer to my parents' age, but he had seen the
Terrible
videos that
friend.
yeah, right. More of like a mentor adult, kind of friendship. And he had seen the videos I made with friends, which were some comedy sketches. I was in the odd short film that friends made. And he said, why don't you, make some videos for my restaurant? And you make the video, I'll let you eat the sandwich for free. And you like, yeah, I'll take that deal. I'll take that deal today. If there are any restaurants out there looking for content creators, if you feed me, I'll make you stuff.
There you
Like,
go. Like, that's the easiest way to get into the gig. If you have a skill, listen, feed me. I'll take pictures of it, and we can put it on YouTube's and all that. Easiest way
yeah.
to go get your foot in the door.
Well, and it's a trade, a skill for a skill, right?
Mhm.
Like, I can't make as good a food as my friend, right? He makes these pretzel sandwiches from scratch every
Pretzel
day.
sandwiches?
Pretzel sandwiches, dude. This is so good. Soft pretzel buns, all in-house made with house sauces, like different types of mayo. And I'm not a huge mayo guy, but I get their smoked pepper mayo with the whipped avocado. Dude, it is incredible.
I'm hungry all of a sudden, Alex. You're making me hungry here.
It's good payment.
Oh yeah, no. 5 hours of like taking photos and video, and you get a nice sandwich in between. Who doesn't love that? I did that actually for a charity I helped out. They did we have a dirty pizza. It's called dirty pizza. It's not dirty. It's actually like, just for some reason I went with dirty pizza, but it's amazing pizzas, like homemade, fresh, every day. And so we did some like nice cinematics of interviewing the guy as he's making the pizza for the charity, because they were doing a collab. So I got to eat the pizza. Like, I agree with you. Getting payment in pizza wins,
Yeah. Yeah. Like, I feel bad for the folks who work on like the McDonald's commercials and stuff, because they don't get to eat the sandwich afterwards. Plus, it's
not even
McDonald's and it's undercooked for the video, right? They don't even cook it all the way. Whereas we go into these small businesses, mom and pop shops and restaurants and stuff, and they're like, it's the real food. Like, this is the real thing, and it's worth it.
Oh yeah, no, I love going into like mom and pops and watching them make the food, because you see the love that they're putting into it, and you're helping them out. Like, they feed you and you're giving them like content forever. Like, that's going to be on their socials, their YouTubes, everywhere for life. And so like your work is there forever. So like you can go, hey, just check out theirs. Look at what I did for them. They got 7,000 likes or whatever, And so that just speaks for it to yourself. Now, I was reading it, and you make podcasts, right, for businesses and that?
Yeah, I do.
How did you fall into that? Because I'm currently like stepping into that right now with my podcasting business. I have one client, and I'm just wondering, how did you get into that?
Yeah, so I started my first podcast called My Wax Museum, where I just sit and chat with people that I know. It's a pretty casual show, but that taught me the basics of interviewing, having conversations, and then, editing, right? Which is that's the big time consumer, right?
Oh God, isn't it?
And then about a year after that, I started another podcast, or maybe it was like over a year after that. I started another podcast called The People of Home. It's over now. I canceled it because it took so much work. But starting this project, The People of Home, I was talking about economics and history and culture in this fictional world on this radio show, which was the setting for telling the story. And it was really interesting. And I think it could have been great, but it didn't work out. But what did work out is I invited a couple of my university professors onto the podcast. And some of them obliged more willingly than others. But one of them, my econ professor, Dr. Moncayo, he sat down and he's like, I love what you're doing. He's like, this is fantastic. And he actually helped me with a few other things. And then I went on to develop 2 separate podcasts, one for the econ department at the university I went to, and then one for the political science department. And so then I was paid. They paid me to
I would
make
hope so.
the
Not in
podcast.
sandwiches, though, right?
Not in sandwiches. No, in education. I wish I got free tuition for that. That would have been nice. But
Well, considering Canadian tuition, I'm guessing it was a Canadian university.
no, it was in the States actually.
So yes, that would have made sense because Canadian
Yeah.
tuition is very cheap compared to the US. But
Although- Although I was at a pretty cheap school, but either way, I got off pretty well. They paid me as a teacher's assistant, and I got to podcast. Hired
living.
by the school. Yeah,
That's awesome.
and it was super cool. And then I have this cool portfolio piece, and every now and then, if I have another friend at the university who happens to take one of those classes, they're like, I just heard you on this podcast in my class. I'm like, I am so sorry if you hate that class, and it's because of me. But I tried to make it entertaining and interesting. And so it was pretty cool. And that ultimately led into then having a few other people. I right now I'm making a podcast for my dad's company, and then I have a few other clients who pay me primarily for the editing, and then a couple other that I'm working on to set up for them right now. So it's all just kind of like a thing that happened. I was starting to be a high school teacher.
Well, technically, through podcasting, you
Yeah,
still are.
I'm teaching stuff, right? I don't know how many high school students are listening to me, but I'm there.
You're
Yeah.
there. I love how podcasting became your passion, and now it's becoming your job, which is, I think everybody I think our generation, because we're roughly, I'm going to say I'm probably a little older than you, but I wouldn't say, hopefully not by much. I don't want to be too old here. But our generation, the millennial generation, if you will, we were brought up being creative.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and we were told, follow your passions and you'll be paid. But we never saw anybody get paid through their passions. And so now with like YouTube coming out, we're seeing more people getting paid for their passions. And you fall in love with podcasting because I love talking to people. And I found out that people are narcissistic because they like talking about themselves.
Yeah.
And podcasting is the perfect thing for a narcissist because they get to talk all the time. I am narcissistic because I have podcasts, and people are like, Phil, you want to start another podcast? Sure.
I'm there for it, dude.
Yeah,
I'm the same way.
Just tell me when I have to show up and how I have to record, and I'm good. Like that's how I do it. But yeah, I think being able to podcast and actually see that people are making a living off podcasting, it's amazing because there's so much value. And I think thankfully with COVID, it kind of rebumped it up because you had the initial like 12, 13 years ago where it was like really difficult to start podcasting because you had to do the RSS feeds all yourself. And then, you got the second wave when like the crime, like the
Serial. Yeah.
Serial popped off. And then people were like, ooh, more people came into it. And then COVID and Joe Rogan brought it back again. And I think it's like a kind of a secular thing. Every couple of years, it bounces back up. And I think we need something like a YouTube platform for podcasts.
Yeah. I mean, I've thought about that, and some people think that's kind of what Spotify is trying to do, right? But at the same time, I don't want that. I like the way that it is because it's so decentralized. Yeah. It's everywhere, right? Oh, who do you want to distribute through, right? Who do you want, how do you send this out? Who do you give this to? Where do you post it? All of these things, I think it's a unique opportunity to just like be creative, but not be stuck to one platform.
Yeah.
I don't care if you listen on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever, on my website, wherever you listen, I don't care because it's decentralized. It's just, you put it out.
It's centralized in the fact that you can have it strictly on your website if you want, or you can decentralize it and have it on like 50 other podcatchers, And for those who don't know what a podcatcher is, it's Spotify, Apple, iTunes, and all that. It's just
anywhere you get your podcasts.
Yeah. So I really, I love that it's decentralized as well. But I I think the problem is for podcasters, because we're looking at it like, oh, most podcasters, when they begin, they're like, oh, I want 1,000 downloads, or how do I get more downloads? And they don't realize downloads technically don't matter.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to become famous like Joe Rogan or that, you gotta like hustle your butt off. You're not gonna have it overnight, but you get 100 downloads an episode. You're like, I'm happy when I get 100 downloads on an episode. It's like, yay, someone listened. 100 people listened.
Right.
You know?
It's cool.
You're like, oh my God, am I famous or something? And I've met so many great people through podcasting. That's what I love about it, and the decentralization of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is a really satisfying thing. I was telling somebody earlier today how I've never been recognized, right? Because I mean, it's nice because you're just a voice, right? At least on most shows, you're just a voice. And I like how there's that anonymity, but then sometimes I'll be hanging out with friends, obviously not lately, but sometimes I'll be hanging out with friends, and they'll introduce me to somebody, and then they'll say, oh yeah, you're Alex, you do My Wax Museum and Broken Bulbs, right? Like you do podcasting. Yeah, I listened to a few of your shows, and I'm like, oh, like one of my friends' moms listens. And I went, okay, her family has a restaurant in Utah, and I went to this restaurant and ordered some food with her. And then my friend, she says to her mom, oh yeah, this is Alex. He's the one that has the podcast. And her mom, who worked there, it's a family place, she brought out cheesecake for us just for free.
Wow. Excuse me.
She's just like, here, have some cheesecake because I listened to the podcast interview you did with my daughter. Like, I don't want to be famous, but like, if I can have that
level of fame, you're okay with.
That level of fame is cool.
A cheesecake every once in a while when I go into a restaurant is the perfect level of fame. I think that's a perfect level of fame that everybody can happy with. You still get your privacy, but you get those little perks. You get that little cake slide into you.
Yeah.
I was watching what's funny, I was watching Be My Maybe or something with Jimmy Woo, not Jimmy White. It's an Asian comedy, and what's really funny is he meets up with his longtime girlfriend back in San Francisco, and they go to this restaurant, and they're kind of talking about how back when they were younger, it was they were mean to us because we didn't speak the language. And then he just starts speaking Cantonese, and all the waitresses love him, and they give him extra food, and she goes to eat it, and the waitress literally moves it away from him, going, no, this is his. So it's like that level of fame I'm okay with, like that little perk fame, the mini perks. Like you're not going to be picked up in a limo, but you may get a free cake or a free side. That's good.
Yeah, it's not ostentatious, it's just quiet, and like it's the little things, right? That's perfect. So if I can just kind of maintain that, and I feel like getting 100 downloads an episode is probably enough to get me there.
Yeah, it's a great feeling, because you're like, I'm sharing this knowledge. Like I'm not unfortunately I haven't listened to your podcast, which is a shame for me, but I will be after this. But you get these conversations, you get to meet these people, you get to learn, and you're bringing that knowledge to other people, whether it's about how people can become a podcaster, how people can become an entrepreneur. Because the reason I did this is because I wanted to know how to be an entrepreneur. I've never been an entrepreneur, right?
Right. Yeah.
So I interviewed a whole bunch of entrepreneurs. I'm interviewing you because I'm starting in that world of, I want to be a podcast producer, help other people create their podcasts, because I know the power of it for businesses, for individuals. Like if you have a message, podcasting is probably the best way of distributing it, because you say it once and it's always there.
It's always there. And you can, lots of people wonder, oh, well, do I have to publish weekly now? No. You don't have to publish weekly. You have to publish the important things, right? You have to get the message out there, right? And if that means your business, whatever it is, does a 6-episode run of a podcast explaining how you do something, explaining your process, right? Put it out there, and then it's done. And then you have it. You can post it on your website. You can share with people when people call you up and say, hey, how do I do this, Phil? You just send them the podcast episode, right? Or what is the point of this? Oh, here, this episode explains it really well, right?
Yeah.
It's that idea, that ability to get your message out there that I think podcasting is really, really efficient at doing.
And so cheap too.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah.
you can either do it in-house and it costs you like maybe $300, get a good mic, your laptop, and Audacity. Boom, you're done. You're done.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you put it up on your website, because you don't even have to, if you have a website, you don't even have to pay for hosting then. And you're done. Like people can just listen to it. You just have to learn how to do an RSS feed, or Anchor does it for you now. So it's even better. It's cheaper.
Right. And it depends. This is what I always tell people. It's really easy to get into podcasting, but it's really hard to get good at podcasting, right? You can do a whole podcast from your phone, right? You can sit down with somebody and they can just record on their phone. You can have a conversation back and forth, right? And then just post it to Anchor. You're done, right? Or you can invest in a studio space and you can do all of this and you can spend all of this money. But the important thing to remember, that equipment doesn't make a podcast good, right? It's the editing, it's the conversation, right? Our conversation we're having now, I would feel comfortable uploading this unedited because I feel like we have really good chemistry.
Yep.
We're going back and forth really well. It's a great conversation. There are other conversations that might need a little more tailoring, right?
Yeah.
And I've had plenty of interviews like that. And so there's the editing, there's the effort of engaging with the guest, there's the idea of being on or, getting the guest to light up, right? There are all these different things that go into actually producing something interesting, engaging, long lasting that you can put out and say, yeah, I did a good job.
Oh yeah, no, I used to edit heavily. My first podcast, I used to have it heavy editing, getting all the ums and uhs and the giant spaces out, because I was like, this has to be professional. Then I realized, no, it doesn't. I don't have time to spend 3 hours editing an hour podcast to make it perfect, because it's not a business podcast. It's not representing my brand or anything. It's just a fun podcast of two people having a conversation. And like you said, some episodes when you have a guest who podcasts, which is amazing, because then the other person knows exactly what they need to be. They need to be slightly on. They don't have to be fully on. The guest doesn't have to be on. As the host, you have to be like ready. Your energy needs to be up here. You can't be coming in down low, because then that brings everything down low. And then it's like, oh, no one wants to listen to this. But this podcast, fully unedited, going up, maybe a bit of editing, if there's any points where I'm like, that can go out. But generally, it's up, it's good. And I'd be getting better and better with the interviews, The more you do it, the better you get, I find.
Yeah, it's practice. I mean, I had somebody listen to my first episode. I'm sure this happens to you too. Like, this is every podcaster's worst nightmare. You tell somebody, go listen to my podcast, and they go back to the first one and you're like, oh, no, listen to the most recent one. If you fall in love with the show, then start looking at the back catalog.
Yeah.
Right. It's like, because it does take practice, right? And after several interviews, you start figuring out, okay, how do I get good answers out of people? How do I ask good questions? How do I make sure I'm paying attention to their answer to actually respond instead of saying, okay, cool. So tell me about it. Right?
Yeah. I have a list of questions that I have to hit, and if I don't hit them, I'm going to fail. No, this is what I love about more conversational interviews, where, I'll ask you a question, we'll go off on a bit of a tangent. It stays within the realm of the podcast. And then I ask another question when I'm like, okay, we're veering off a little. Let's bring it back.
Right. Well, I mean, we started off the podcast talking about Canada, right?
Yeah.
And, of course, we're diving into it. We love our country and the beauty that it has to offer. And then, but you as a good host, you let it go, let it, get us engaged with each other. And then you say, okay, we actually have a conversation to get to here.
Yeah.
So let's get to it. Right. And I think you do a fantastic job at that.
Thank you very much for that. it's always a pleasure to hear from another podcaster saying that I'm a good host, because that is, I think, the ultimate compliment from someone who is not just more experienced. You do this for a living. So hearing you say that I'm doing a great job as a host is kind of like, yeah, a little shine on the badge. I'm like, I'm gonna blush soon, but yeah, no. And you're an awesome guest already, because you're a podcast host. You know how to bring the energy that a podcast needs. You understand the needs of the listener, because as a podcast host, okay, this is what my listeners like. I'm going to bring that energy to every podcast I'm on. So
yeah, you have to be there, right? There's a certain learning to be present, I think, when you're doing a podcast, right? I'm not checking on my email while we're having this conversation. I was on the phone with my sister before this, and I was definitely, looking at, okay, what do I have to do for this? I'm not paying attention to what she's saying, which is maybe a bad thing. But when you're doing a podcast, you really, really have to be there, because it's not just a conversation, right? I'm not just thinking, oh, I hope Phil feels like I'm engaged. I'm thinking, I hope everybody listening feels like I'm engaged as well, right? There's an audience there.
The audience is the most important part of the podcasting, because even if we have a conversation, which I'm loving the conversation, it's an awesome conversation because I'm learning from you. I'm understanding how to be a better guest, because not a guest, but a host. By talking with you, I'm getting a better sense of how to, but also I'm like, okay, I'm like, my listeners, will they enjoy this? Is this something that I can keep in? But I'm also trying to stay present while I'm listening to you, to make sure I pick up on something like, oh, I want to touch on that subject, or go down more, delve deep into that section, because I think my guests will like, my listeners will like it, because I'm interested in something like, pardon me, like, for instance, you have multiple clients. How do you get your clients? Like, that's something I'm interested in. Like, how do you get your clients? Because not only for your podcast, but for other people listening, they could still use the same tool that you use to get your clients.
Yeah, finding clients is kind of a funny thing for me. Like I said, I was studying to be a high school teacher, and I quit that path when when I started making money doing this thing, right? Having fun with this, and it's kind of funny how I've never gone out and done sales. I've never gone out and done like the hustle thing, right? It's been be nice to people, be thoughtful, right? Follow up and actually do what you say you're going to do, right? You show up. They say 80% of it is showing up. That is true. You got to show up. 10% is smiling when you show up, right? Being friendly, being kind, being respectful, right?
So being Canadian.
And be Canadian. Yeah. So if you want to get into entrepreneurship, what you're going to want to do is be Canadian.
Yeah, just follow a Canadian for a day and you'll see how we act. And they're like, that's the exact person you want in your sales.
Go to immigration.gc.ca. Just kidding. I don't know what the Canadian immigration site is. But that's the thing. I've never gone out and peddled. All of my clients has been, they see the work that I'm doing, right? My friend with the restaurant, I'm still doing work for him. He's paying me in money now.
Yeah.
And sandwiches, which
I was hoping you would get an occasional sandwich still. Like that barter system is a good one.
I still get sandwiches. And then one time I filmed like 4 videos for him in a row. And then I went home with 4 sandwiches and just ate that for the whole weekend. It was fantastic. So
hey, look, after groceries done, like, oh, what I'm going to have for lunch? I'm going to have the sandwich that I filmed yesterday. Oh,
I don't even think about it. Right. So yeah, I think the biggest thing is deliver for the clients that you have, be nice to the people around you, put out good work. People are going to hear that, right? All of my clients that I've had, specifically the podcast ones, they've listened to my podcasts. One of them that I'm kind of working with right now to hopefully bring on board, he was on a podcast with me. Okay. And he said, oh, you do this for a living? Oh yeah, I really like the sound of it. Can you make one for me? And I'm like, wait, seriously? that's what it is. It's been patience, kindness and delivering, right?
Mhm.
That's it.
What's funny is that's how I got my first client. He was a guest on my second season, which is launching shortly. And I'm like, he's like, hey, you do the podcasting often? I'm like, yeah, I have a lot of connections. And I'm like, would you like me to help you get on some other podcasts? Because he's starting to build his credibility. He's from Australia, built a side hustle, built his stock portfolio. And then he's like, I want to share my message with people and help them create side hustle, create their money tree, if you will. And so I'm like, yeah, I have a couple finance podcasts and other podcasts I can put you on. Got him on like 5 podcasts. By the third one, he messaged me back. He's like, look, I want to start a podcast and I'm going with you. I'm like, cool. Just let me know when you want to set up and we'll do it. And like, I've walked him through the whole thing. His podcast is launched. It's awesome. And what's really great is because I get it. I listen to it. I'm like, oh shit, that's valuable information.
Isn't that cool when you're editing somebody else's podcast and you're like, huh, yeah, I never thought of that. Oh, interesting. Yeah. I love that. That's probably one of my favorite parts about editing is it's like you're there for the conversation. You're like, huh, really? You think so, Phil, huh? And I don't know if you do the same thing, but I'm having conversations with the people I'm editing.
Not gonna lie, I sometimes I'm like listening to, even when I'm not editing a podcast of mine, I'm listening to someone else's podcast. I'm like, no, you're wrong. This is how you do it. It's this like they're trying to guess, like, oh, what's that character's name? And you're like, it's Joseph. It's Joseph. God dang it! Why can't you hear it?
You almost want to just hit the record button and say, hey, Phil, just popping in here, just to say. The character they're trying to think of is Joseph. Now back to the show.
Yeah.
You just like insert that in there.
Editor's note, the character's name is Joseph.
I mean, why not? Right? Yeah.
I don't do that for him, but I think I will in the future podcasts I do. Whenever I'm like, you're wrong. Editor's note, he's completely wrong. It is over in the East Coast, not the West Coast. Continuing on.
I do. There are some podcasts I listen to that have little side notes like that. And sometimes it's actually helpful. I feel like it depends on the show, right?
I think if it's like a history-based podcast or maybe more educational-based, those would be helpful. Whereas if it's like or movie-based, like if they're talking about a certain movie and they get the name wrong or they get something wrong and then you get the little editing. We made a mistake. It's this. I know a couple entertainment podcasts to do that. It's always funny when they come in and it's like the vibe is completely different. They're side note, we were completely wrong about this conversation, but we're going back to it. And you go back and you're like, what the hell just happened?
There is one there's a way to do that. So I mean, you can pop in, there's a city planning podcast I listen to called 360 Degree City. Amazing podcast. But they'll sometimes do that if they have an architect on or something who uses a fancy city planning term, right? Then they'll pop in and say, just a heads up, this word means this. And they'll explain it so that things make sense going forward. And it's super, super helpful. And then there's also the No Stupid Questions show from Freakonomics Radio. Which I love. Angela Duckworth and Stephen Dubner, amazing hosts on that show. But they always have their producer do a fact check at the end of every episode, just to clear things up.
Yeah, make sure that they're not talking the wrong stuff or to go a bit deeper on something that's more important. That's genius work.
Yeah, it's important, and like you said, especially for like if it's a history podcast or something, right?
Yeah.
Might be important to get those things right.
Especially if it's not like already scripted out and all the dates are already fact checked and it's not 100%. If it's just an off the cuff conversation with two historians talking, look, history is long. Like it's at least 5 million years at least. I think there's we're going to have some facts, maybe not 100%,
It's at least 200 years old.
At least 200 years old. Minimum history is at least 200 years old, but yeah, podcasting is so amazing. I love that it's getting another resurgence, and I'm waiting for the next resurgence to come. I think when more and more business oriented people start podcasting, I think that's when you're going to see a bigger influx into it.
Yeah, there already are a ton of companies getting into podcasting. Like I think BMW might have a branded podcast. Pretty sure Home Depot does. So there are big businesses that see the value in it. Part of me still feels kind of like, man, this is my indie community. Like I don't want the big company to come in and ruin podcasting. But it puts more money in the industry. It makes people more aware of the industry, right? When all these celebrities make podcasts, celebrity podcasts are a dime a dozen.
Yeah.
And, most of them are not interesting at all. They get listeners because they're famous.
Yeah.
And they needed a job during the pandemic, right? So it makes sense that they would do it. I'm not faulting them for that.
No.
But it brings more people to awareness of podcasts, right? So yeah, I think it's been a net positive for sure.
Oh, yeah. I whenever there's more podcasts or more people coming into the game, it just benefits everybody. I'm part of a lot of podcasting groups, and I see a lot of people when Megan and Harry were going to talk about doing their own podcast. People like, oh, not another celebrity podcast. We don't need it. I'm like, are you stupid? That just brings more eyes to podcasts. That means there's a chance for your podcast, if it's any interest, that someone's going to listen to it. That means more listeners, which means you get to be more and more famous. I think as long as you go into podcasting wanting to help and bring information, then you're good. That as long as that's your goal. Like if you go in trying to make money, you'll never make it.
Yeah, like I think the most important thing is, and I mentioned this on the forum, is that you need to have fun, right? You need to let yourself have fun with whatever creative thing you're doing, right? Even if it's painting or if it's writing, let yourself have fun. Let yourself explore. Let yourself try new things, right? You and I both do multiple podcasts, right? Yeah. We connect with the medium. Right. And so we experiment, we try new things, we make new shows, we cancel old ones that aren't working. That's part of the fun. That's part of the fun of creativity. And I think getting more ears in the podcasting space and more voices in the podcasting space is always a great thing.
Oh, yeah, no, it's because the more people listen to it, the bigger businesses like Spotify and Apple, they're going to work to make it easier for people to listen because they're going to hear, well, Meghan Markle, she wants more people to listen to her podcast. How can we make it easier for people to listen to it? So they're going to work on building that up so that everybody can listen to it, and that just benefits us as podcasters, the small indie podcasters, because that means they're spending the big bucks. We don't have to spend the big bucks, and we're reaping the benefit of it.
Yeah, that's exactly right. We get to show up and make our thing and say, oh, cool, there's a new tool out because there's more money in podcasting now. Think of all the new cool tools that have come out in the past year.
Yeah.
Right.
Like
all
Zoom.
the different things that we've got easy access to now. Right.
Like because of podcasting, I found out about email marketing. I never knew about email marketing before and how to use it. I was like, what? I can make my own email marketing campaign? Oh my God, that's amazing. And like companies are coming out making it cheaper for people because you have the high tier and the low tier and all the different podcast hosting companies. Like used to be you only had like the big three, like Lisbon, Blueberry, and one other. And now you got like podcast.co, Static FM, Clarity FM, you got Anchor, which is like, I feel I don't like Anchor, but I also like Anchor because I'm like,
it makes it accessible.
Yeah, it makes it accessible, right. But at the same time, it's giving people unrealistic expectations for those people who go in for wanting to make money. If they want to make money podcasting, they don't understand how much work it is to get a good podcast. Like you said earlier, it takes a lot of work.
Yeah, and I mean, and there's no great discovery tool, right? If you want to find a podcast, you have to go to the places. You have to ask on Twitter and get the hordes and masses to send you their podcast link, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you have to sort through all those podcasts to find the good ones. You can subscribe to the Find That Pod, I think is the newsletter that goes out. They send out, podcast recommendations of different types. You have to do a whole lot of Googling, try and find something, find recommendations, find top 5 lists and top 10 lists and whatever else, because Apple Podcasts, yeah, there's a browse feature, but you're not using it. Yeah.
Well, what I like about Apple, what they're doing now is they're actually getting guests. You can search by the guests now. So let's say I want to check out all of your podcasts you're on, Alex, right? I can just put in your name and it'll bring up as many podcasts that you were a guest on, or the topic, if I want to learn about a topic. Like, it's getting there, but it's slowly getting there. But like, who knows what's going to happen? Like, this generation, this is our radio.
Yeah. Yeah. It is really interesting. I was talking to my mom and she's like, yeah, all of my friends don't want to listen to your podcast because they're like, oh, well, we had to listen to radio when we were kids and now we have TV. We like TV better. And I'm like, yeah, but this is different than radio because it's more carefully crafted. There's all this editing that goes into it, right? People put, their blood, sweat, and tears into these projects.
Lots of sweat right now.
You need a gentler light, a less hot light, man.
Yeah, it's for photography.
Oh yeah.
So it's a really hot light. The other thing is either it's pure white or it's a yellow incandescent light. So it's like, I'll go with the hot light for now until I get some more money that I can get like a simple ring light that doesn't heat up my face so much.
There's some pretty cheap LEDs you can get too. That I just bought a kit. I feel like this podcast episode, we're like all over the place. We're just chatting.
This is going to be you're the first guest on season 3, so it's going to be called Alex Williamns, the podcast king. I'm going to call you the podcast king because I'm the podcast producer. You can be the podcast king.
Sounds good.
But yeah, no, it's great because I can use. What's great about this episode is anybody who's interested in starting a podcast or even want to take it as a business, they can listen to this episode and be like, look, Alex talks about how he started out podcasting. He literally went to his professor and was like, hey, want a podcast?
Mm-hmm.
And that's how you got your first thing. Like, people do you have sponsors for your podcasts?
No, I don't actually.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, right now what we're doing is trying to share the love around the network. So I have a few podcasts myself. I do a couple of them with siblings. My older sister has a couple podcasts on her own, one that's out right now and one that's in pre-production. And then my little sister has a podcast or two that I help her produce and everything. And so right now what we're focused on is spreading the love. We know people listen over here. We know people listen over here. Let's get these ones over here and kind of spread that around a little bit. So we're taking the next few months to just, every single ad break in our podcasts is just, hey, you might also enjoy this other podcast from Mecco Radio. And we kind of promote each other that way.
I like that. I don't have enough podcasts in my little community yet to start doing that, but I use NordVPN.
Oh, really?
Yeah, just use an affiliate with NordVPN. So at the end of my podcast, I go, hey, if you ever want protection online or if you ever want to see Netflix in other countries, go to NordVPN. The link's in the description down below. You click on that, you kick back some money to me, but Nord pays me, not you. And there. So it's something you guys can think about for your podcast,
Yeah, that's a really good idea. Was it like, I'm curious how much success you see with that? Because I'm always, affiliate links. Yeah, it sounds great, but I feel like you've got to have 100 affiliations.
I started like, okay, going to like hundreds and hundreds and just signing up for all of them. And then I'm like, wait, which one am I actually going to use?
Mm-hmm.
And which one I think is going to benefit my listeners? And I'm like, well, I know NordVPN. I use it because it allows me, one, it protects my online presence.
Mm-hmm.
And it also lets me see Netflix in other countries. That's pretty much the main reason was Netflix in other countries, because Canadian Netflix is good, but Like Britain's
But
got.
other places have other things,
Yeah,
right?
because they don't have all the same stuff that we have access to. So it's like nice seeing you go to Australia and New Zealand and all that. And they have a whole bunch of different things because they have different streaming platforms and their licensing is different. So Netflix can have it versus us. You need Hulu and you're like, oh, I'm not going to pay for Hulu. So you go to Netflix, and so it benefits so many people. I find NordVPN, and it just protection, like it's the new version of a firewall. It's just more protection for you, and it doesn't slow down your computer. It's great. But yeah, I just have it at the bottom, like, hey, if you want to sign up for NordVPN, it's in the show notes, and if they sign up, they sign up. I usually see a lot of clicks to it, not a lot of signups, but over time, over time, it's always there. So sending people to the back catalog brings that up. So gives a chance.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Actually, I'll have to look into that, because we will be starting later this year once we've kind of shared things around a little bit more and really solidified each show. Because some of the shows, start rough, right? We get into it, we get it going, we get it started, and then we kind of make adjustments and tweaks and say, oh, I didn't like how that sounded, right? And we change little things about it. So I think later this year, that's a good idea. That's something we'll be looking at.
The first thing you should do, like what I did first, was I just put the NordVPN link in the show notes. That's it. Didn't even mention it. It's in the show notes there. Later on, when I started getting comfortable, with the app, like getting used to conversation with people and using the editing and all that, then I started promoting it. But it's just there in the back on the sheet. It's always there. So if people want, they can click and they listen and they read the show notes. Oh, what's this? Click, And if they like what Nord's offering, the special Nord's offering, they take it. So that's what I actually learned that from a British kid on YouTube. And he did it with his Tesla link. He never mentions it, but he just leaves it in the bottom of his Tesla videos. And anybody who clicks it and signs up or buys a Tesla through it or something, he gets like a certain amount of free charges for his Tesla.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and he only talked about it once in his whole all his videos, because he does his analytic videos, and he talks about how much money he makes from YouTube and with this video and all that. And he talked about it one time. I'm like, that's genius. Why wasn't I doing that?
Yeah.
So now it's like it's right there all the time. So if anybody clicks it, I may get a link, I may not, but it's like this is just one avenue of a stream of income that may generate.
Yeah. And we do actually have a few affiliate links on our website that we use for like the services that we use, right? Our podcast host and
hosting and all that.
Yeah, any tools that we have. And haven't seen anything from it yet, but like you said, you have it there. See how it goes.
It never hurts. Like your podcast host, it just benefits both of you guys. And if you ever want to start a podcast, check out our website. We have a great list of tools that you guys can use. And you know what? Because you use it, you're supporting us because they pay us. Every time you guys buy something, they pay us for it. So, hey, if you want to support the show, boom, that's how you can help us out. If you don't want to share the episode, you don't want to like anything, but you say, hey, I'm going to buy something on Amazon. Click our Amazon link, boom.
Yeah, I sent a guy an affiliate link. He actually signed up, but he didn't use my link.
Bastard.
I told him about it and I said, hey, I use this tool. It's pretty cool. You should check it out. And then I said, oh, and I do have an affiliate link. Like I told him, right? I'm like, and he signed up and I saw him start like advertising that he had signed up for this thing. And I'm thinking, wait a second. What the heck?
You didn't. Bastard. I think also because a lot of people have that scammy back in the old days of the internet. I'm dating myself. The really sketchy affiliate links. And so they don't really understand, like, no, you have the sketchy affiliate link over here, but big businesses like Nike use affiliate links. Amazon uses affiliate links. Walmart uses it. All the businesses know how powerful affiliate marketing is.
Well, and this guy, he's a fellow podcaster,
even worse.
same generation. He uses affiliate links, you know. I was like, wait a second.
That's a stab. That's a hurt.
Yeah. I was like, I know you know how this works.
How could you do that to me?
But I mean, I missed out on a few bucks, so oh well. Not a huge deal.
Not the end of the world.
But almost.
Almost. Very close. Nearly COVID level. Nearly. All right, Alex, we're coming up to 50 minutes of a great episode. This is what I love about podcasting. The time just flies. Usually it's like 30 to 45. I'm like, boom, we're moving through. I'm going to give you the 5 minutes I give everybody. You can pitch yourself. This is your first real sale, if you will. You ready? All right,
I'm ready.
I'm going to disappear from here. Where am I? Hide self view. Let's get you onto the selling page. There we go. Alex, it's all yours. Go ahead.
It's all mine. Hi, everybody. Nice to meet you. I'm Alex Williamns, and I'm a podcaster. That's pretty much about all that I do. If you like my personality, or at the very least, don't hate me, you should probably check out all the podcasts that I do, all the podcasts that my siblings do as well. You can visit mecoradio.com. That's Meco, which is just echo with an M in front of it. How easy is that? Meco Radio, you can pronounce it Mecho too if you want. MECHO radio.com. That's where you're going to find all of the work that I do, as well as all of the work that my siblings do as well. And you know what? Yeah, we produce a lot of our own in-house content, but if you like it and you want your content made, feel free. There's a contact form on there. You can send us an email through that. I'll get back to you and we'll make something awesome together. How was that? Was that a good sale?
That's perfect. That's exactly what you need to do for sales. It's super easy. You're natural. You're natural.
I don't know if I say I'm a natural at sales, but
boom, you did it. You're the I like the value sale. That's what I like. I don't like the pressure sales. Like, oh, if you don't get it, it's going to disappear in like 2 days. No. I like to look. Here's all the stuff I do. If you enjoy and you like the quality I do, I'll help you do the exact same. Boom. Because you're showing this is what I do. This is what I can produce for you. And now I can do that for you. So that's the value selling. I think that sales does better than anything because you never get buyer's remorse from it. No one
way
feels
better.
Yeah, because they're like, I feel that you have my best interests at heart and you're going to help me.
Yeah, dude, I did car sales. I got seller's remorse from that.
Yeah.
This is another story that maybe, we should just start our own podcast together where we can talk about just anything else.
I would love to. Another podcast. Why not?
Let's do it. What else are we doing? But I tried to talk a guy out of buying a car once because it was not good for his credit or anything. I was like, maybe wait. And he's like, no, I want this car. And I'm like,
okay.
Yeah. I was not good at my job because I couldn't get the guy who I didn't want to buy a car to not buy a car.
Maybe that's your technique. Maybe you have to tell them not to have the car.
Yeah, reverse psychology. Hey, listen, man, you do not want this $80,000 truck for full price.
No. Let's go look over the minivans. That's the car you really need, the minivan,
Yeah. Oh, man.
Alex, thank you so much for being the first guest on season 3 of Invest in Yourself, the Digital Entrepreneur Podcast. It was a pleasure having you on.
It was a pleasure being on. I feel like there needs to be a round of applause here. I do have a soundboard. Can I press a button?
Yeah, press a button.
Okay. I think no, that's not the one. No. There we go. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Wow, thank you for coming to the Invest in Yourself podcast.
So I have to ask yourself, do you have the Rodecaster Pro?
Yeah, I do. Those were just the sound effects.
Dang it. I want to get that. That's the first buy when I get it because it's so amazing.
It's a lot of fun, man. It's a lot of fun. Tell you what, if I do make it out to Eastern Canada this year, I'll drive out with it and we can play with it. If you haven't already bought it by then, I don't even know when I'd be able to come out.
Yeah, if I haven't bought it by already, I will tell you. Bring out your Rodecaster Pro because I want to play with it. That sounds so dirty, and I love it.
And if you don't have your Rodecaster Pro, or if you do have your Rodecaster Pro by then, we're not hanging out. That's it. I'm not even going to visit Montreal. Nothing. Just kidding.
Wow. Jeez. Okay, then I'm not getting it. I'll keep it hidden when you come over.
The cost of friendship.
That's the cost of friendship. No, you're never allowed to buy a Rodecaster Pro. Okay, it's a steep price, Alex, but I think I'm willing not to pay it. Alex, again, thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, listen to the outro, and all of Alex's links are in the show notes down below. Again, I want to thank this amazing Canadian podcaster because he's so nice. Look at me. If you're watching the video, you can see his beautiful smile, his beautiful face. If you're listening it, he has an amazing voice, I have to say. You have a podcaster voice.
Thank
or
you.
A radio voice, if you will.
A radio voice.
Yeah, it's very smooth.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Is that good? Was that like radio-y enough?
That was.
Yeah.
You can always go radio voice like 110%. You're listening to Hits FM 97.7.
We'll be back right after this commercial.
There you go.
Hey.
All right. I'm going to end it now before I do something silly. There we go. Let's stop. Guys, I really hope you enjoyed that conversation with Alex. Me and Alex go back and forth. He had me as a guest on his show. I believe I put it as a link. It's the first link in the show notes down below, so you can listen to that. I have to thank him again so much for being a guest on it and having me as a guest on his show. We're bonding. We're masterminding all the time, going back and forth about ideas. And as you know, if you follow me on social media, I have a show that I go live every Monday to Friday, 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard, where I help podcasters learn how to start a podcast, how to grow a podcast, how to take your podcast to the next level, how to monetize. So you guys can check that out. It's on my Facebook and in my Facebook group. If you want access to it, you need to send me an email. The links are in the show notes down below. I want to thank you so much for giving us a listen, and always remember to invest in yourself.
Thanks for tuning in. Now it's time to take the next step. When you're ready to dive deeper into how to launch, grow, and monetize your podcast, Phil's got something special for you. Join him for a free webinar where he'll reveal the 3 secrets that have helped countless entrepreneurs succeed in podcasting. Click the link in the show notes to save your spot, and let's turn your podcasting dreams into reality.
You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. With Indeed sponsored jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for your relevant candidates, so you can reach the people you want faster. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applications than non-sponsored jobs. Don't wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/kidsandfamily. Just go to Indeed.com/kidsandfamily right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring? Indeed is all you need.